start leveling the playing field, with racism, with anti-racist practices? I mean, obviously that's like a huge question, but as a parent and growing and learning alongside my child and knowing that, as a privileged white person sitting here, that I don't understand and I do have room to grow, and learning alongside my child, what is the best practice for that in continuing the growth collectively as a family?
I think what you just said is first acknowledging what you know and don't know. I often tell parents, especially when they say, oh, I'm white or I'm this, I always say, well, what do you know about yourself and your family and your culture? Because just being white, are you European? Are you French? Right. Are you German? Right. Where are you? Because you can start there and say, our family's actually Polish. And these are what happened to the Polish people when they migrated here. There's a whole history with that, by the way. So even if you're just white, it's like, do you know your Jews. History? Right. There you go. Right. So you share with your family that stuff. Right. And that starts. And then you say, just like we're Jewish, other families may be this. Right. You get books. Thankfully, as much as the internet can be a horrible place, it could also be a really great learning tool if you know how to search or you find the right people to follow. And so I think just like with everything else, I talk to parents about, you teach your child about their nose and their mouth, teach them about their body parts. Right? You teach your children about how to be polite and how to have manners, teach them about other cultures, right? It doesn't have to be like, we're going to sit down and learn cultures today. But when you decide to have a family night, decide to get a cultural food and say, tonight we're going to try this culture and we're going to learn about them. That makes it fun. So it's not just we're going to sit down and learn history today, but we're going to, get Indian food today. And we're going to talk about where each of these foods come from. And we're going to, you just taught your kid about another culture without making it a sit down, we're having a lecture about a culture, right? Right. When you can go back out into the world, you can take them to different festivals and take them to different parts of your town where that might be a cultural hub for where you live and say, this is where, this culture is, and this is some of the foods they eat, and this is some of the traditions they have. When your child asks questions, think, do I know the answer before you give it to them, and say, I don't know a lot about that, but let me get some information. Maybe we can talk about it this weekend.
I think that's super powerful, because I think parents walk around thinking that they need to know the answers for everything. And the power in not knowing is almost more powerful than knowing.
I agree.
And with those little words is, I don't know, let me get back to you. Let me do a little research and get back to you. Like, I love what you said. Let's talk about it this weekend.
Right. And I think it gives you an opportunity to realize, oh, I actually don't know about this. And let me get some real information.
That perfection idea, because as much as we think we're supposed to be perfect, our kids look at us like we're perfect. And so they continue that entire cycle as if, my mom or my dad never makes mistakes, so I can't either.
Yep.
Bring in the humanity.
That's a great modeling tool too, to continue to think about, how do you bridge the gap model for your child? How do you talk to people from other cultures? Do you have friends or colleagues from other cultures, right? Because that also models, again, when we talk to children about diversity, whether it's racial diversity, sexual identity, gender, whatever it is, we have to also look at ourselves as, do we have people who we even talk to like that? Before I tell my child, you need to be okay with differences, am I? Am I okay with having friends?
The work starts with you, modeling the behavior, because it doesn't matter what's coming out of your mouth.
Right. And the kids eventually learn that. You have a preteen or a teen, so they eventually start to learn, you don't know what you're talking about, or you're not practicing what you preach, and they'll say it to you. And so I often tell parents, it's a really good moment for you to start realizing, when your child says, well, you don't do that, think, maybe they don't see me do that. And then think, how can I incorporate that into my daily life? Or that's not something, you don't have any friends like this. Pay attention. You're right. I don't have any friends who are different than us or who look different from us. You're correct. Maybe we need to do that. Maybe we both need to be proactive about finding people who we can be friends with and connect with. And I think, again, it's just modeling. It's not about, we're going to sit down and have a lecture about this. We just decide, how do we in our daily lives incorporate these small moments that, like you said, become bigger moments because your kid sees you do it, right? They see you, not just hear you talk about it. They see you every day. Put your phone down instead of pick the phone up. They see you every day, go to cultural events and learn more. They see the way you speak to people. They hear you on the phone when you're talking about people. I remember listening to my mom gossip all the time and then tell me, you shouldn't gossip. It's like, okay, mom, you know what I mean? Like, they see you do all of these things. And so it's not about being perfect, but it's about being mindful. And if your kid says, hey, I haven't seen you do that, think, you know what, you're right. Mom is not perfect. It's really hard for me to have a friend of every culture and every walk of life, but I have made a choice to have this type of friend or that type of friend. And maybe you can make a choice to have another type of friend. In that just example, you just realize I don't have to go out now and have a friend of every culture to model for my child, but I can be mindful of my kid notices. So let me be honest with them, right? Not just say, oh, you shouldn't, don't be in my business. Like our parents used to tell us, go get some business, right? You actually teach them. You're right. I haven't cultivated those type of things, or I don't have that in my daily life. And maybe we can both do that together. And again, I keep reiterating it because of what you just said. Perfection isn't the goal. The goal is to be a full human and show your child that it's okay to be a full human as well.